On the morning of Friday, 24th July 2026, a neighbor in Grand Haven Township, Michigan, called to report white smoke coming from a house on Riverside Trail. Firefighters from the Grand Haven Fire Department arrived and dealt with the smoke. They checked the home, and what they're about to find, no one was ready for it. They found 8 people dead inside, a mother, her 6 children, and her husband, but the big question was who killed them and why. That question was going to be revealed very soon, and that will shock the whole nation. Amanda Karolkiewicz, everyone called her Mandy. She was 39 years old. She was a substitute teacher at Grand Haven Area Public School. She had recently earned a master's degree in education, and she had also written a children's book dedicated to her 6 kids. Her cousin Emily Jones, speaking on behalf of the family after the news broke, described her simply. She said Mandy was someone who lit up every room she walked into. She said her kids were in everything she did, and nothing came second to her family.
He was just the sweetest, funniest person that you could ever meet, and a light in her community, a light in her family's lives.
In early July, just weeks before she was being killed, Mandy had taken her 2 adopted daughters on a trip to China. She documented the whole thing on TikTok. Videos of the girls at Shanghai Disneyland, photos of them exploring the city of Hangzhou. She was teaching them about their birth country, about their culture, and about where they came from. It was exactly the kind of thing people who knew her said she would do. The 6 children haven't been publicly named by investigators, but what is confirmed is that 4 were boys aged from 15 to 5, 2 were girls, both 11. 4 of the 6 were the couple's biological children and 2 were adopted. Kristopher Karolkiewicz, known as Kris, was 47 years old. He had been working remotely from the family's Grand Haven home as a national vice president of sales and marketing for the American Heart Association, a position he had held since September 2023. He worked from home in the house off Riverside Trail, the same house where his family would be found dead. Sometime the night before, investigators believe Kristopher Karolkiewicz shot and killed his wife and each of their 6 children inside the home. The children were found in bedrooms throughout the house. After the killings, he deliberately set fires in multiple locations on the first floor, in the basement, where most of the damage was ultimately found. He started them in several places, not just one. The family's pet, including several dogs and at least 1 cat, also died in the fire. The first call about smoke came in just before 9 in the morning on Friday.
Grand Haven Township for a residential fire at Riverside Trail. White smoke coming out of the window. House is full of smoke seen from the outside and smells electrical. Central clear at 11:46.
Firefighters responded but initially could not determine the cause. And nearly 3 hours later, at approximately 11:42 in the morning, more calls came in about smoke still coming from the home. When firefighters went inside to check for anyone who might need help, they found 8 dead bodies. Ottawa County Sheriff Captain Jake Sparks confirmed the finding at a press conference on Monday, July 27th. He said the investigation at this point shows that this was a murder-suicide, with the fire being started after the murders.
The investigation at this point shows that this was a murder-suicide, with the fire being started after the murders.
All 7 victims, Amanda and the 6 children, died from the gunshot wounds. Their deaths were ruled homicides. Kristopher's death was ruled a suicide. The gun he used was a registered handgun.
After the post-mortem autopsy, it was determined that the cause of death for all the subjects involved in this was ruled gunshot wounds, and the manner of death for Amanda and the 6 children was ruled homicide. The manner of death for Kristopher has been ruled suicide.
There is no record of any prior law enforcement calls to that home. Not one, no signs of a struggle were found at the scene. And here is where the story takes its first turn. Within days of the murders, the American Heart Association released a statement. It confirmed that Kristopher had worked for the organization from September 2023 until earlier in July 2026. The statement did not explain why. A family friend speaking to local station 13 on your side said he had been fired from the position. The American Heart Association did not address that claim publicly. Captain Sparks told reporters that no formal note was left at the scene. But he also said this: there was a lot of documentation seized from the home and processing it would take time.
We're still pouring through all that right now. I don't have any specific note that was left, no, but there was a lot of documentation that we seized from the scene, and we're going to go over processing that. It'll take a while to get through.
It did not rule out that those documents could eventually help explain a motive. As of the time this script was written, no official motive has been confirmed, but Mandy had already written one. After the case made headlines, investigators and journalists began looking at the family's social media. What they found on Reddit stopped people cold. A Reddit account under the username MandyK1179 had posted dozens of times, mostly about 2 years ago. The Holland Sentinel, the local newspaper that covers the Grand Haven area, independently confirmed the account's authenticity by cross-referencing the marriage's date, ages, children, occupation and residence details in the post against the confirmed fact of the case. And it was Mandy. In one of her earlier posts, she described meeting Kris when she was an intern and she was young, he was older and already divorced. She described falling in love and building a life together. Reading those early posts, you would think you were reading about a happy marriage. But then came the later posts, specifically the ones he wrote in 2024 in a subreddit called As One After Infidelity, a peer support community for people trying to rebuild a marriage after cheating. She wrote that she had been in the process of reconciliation with her partner for roughly 4.5 years. She said he had admitted to an emotional affair and denied any physical relationship outside the marriage. Then she also wrote something that is impossible to read now without feeling the weight of it. She wrote that she had cheated with an intern, the younger woman the same age Mandy herself had been when she was the intern who fell for him. She wrote, "We have 6 kids, so the idea of living is insanely terrifying. He has always had major red flags that I ignored due to my own trauma and anxious attachment. He was raised in a toxic family dynamic that encouraged lying about everything." She pushed for marriage counseling. She pushed for him to go back to individual therapy. She wrote that their day-to-day life could feel genuinely good and then something would happen again. But still she did not leave. She said it was terrifying to even think about 6 kids, a life they had built together, and the fear of what comes next. Then what came next was July 24, 2026.
Thanks for joining us on News Channel 3 Live at 11. I'm Andy Dominiani. A family of 8 is dead tonight after being found in a home in a quiet Ottawa County suburb.
Grand Haven Area Public School released a statement mourning Amanda and describing her as someone who served students and staff with kindness, compassion, and a willingness to step in wherever she was needed. They offered counseling support for students and staff whoever was affected by this news. A memorial was placed near the house on Riverside Trail. When it rained on Monday, someone covered it with a tarp. Investigators are still processing documents from the home. The arson investigation into how the fires were started is still being conducted by Michigan State Police. The case remains officially open. There's no satisfying answer to why this happened. There may never be one that makes sense of it. If I get any further update on this case, I'll update you guys.